think you were having some down the. Oh.
All right.
Да, ну что говорит? Илюха, тебе ничего хорошего не могу сказать, я думаю. Ты ее спрашиваешь.
Olga, why don't you start it off for us?
You got it.
So guys, this is AHA Club, Agents Helping Agents. We're here every Tuesday at 9:30. We've got Olga here today, and she wants to shed some light on all the amazing things that are happening in the financial side of this business.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I just want to let you know regarding some issues some banks have for co-op approval, especially if the co-op shows losses. Now, we've been very successful closing on those projects. Why? Is because we dig very deeply. Why did the co-op has losses? What can be done? What is the management doing to prevent going forward? So we look at, okay, you had a loss of 75,000 2 years in a row. What do we do about that? Well, we increase the maintenance, we increase special assessments. So going forward, there will be no losses. So Kathy had a client who project with the client, he almost losing the down payment. We took a deal and we cleared the file and we could close. So if you have a project that you guys having an issue to approve, let me take a look, see if we could give a shot about that. Also about the insurance. Some banks will not finance in a project where certain insurance doesn't have certain levels. We also were able to get around it and close a deal. What else is that? The rates are stabilizing. You know, we were expecting the rates be more or less stabilized. So right now on the first time buyer, you could get 6.5. On regular buyer, it's a little bit slightly higher, but on the first time buyer, there's many more programs. Now, what does it consist of first time buyer? You don't need to own, you cannot own the property last 3 years. Also, if you have a couple who have ownership, only one of the couple, one of the borrower are first-time buyer and the other one already owns a property, we still could do it under first-time buyer program. It depends where you live. We could give you $10,000 credit towards closing cost or down payment, regardless how much money. There's no cap for the income and there's no cap how much money post-closing. And I think it's a very awesome program. So if you know clients live in low to moderate income, double check with me. Or if you want, I could email you the map and Excel sheet so you could check yourself. So this way, you know, if it's a match, it's a third step. We do it through DU. And I got a couple of deals where people live in Manhattan and they still get the credit, buying $1 million property. So the good part is recently it was approved for high balance loan. So it doesn't only have to be 760, it could be up to $1 million. Because on a high balance loan, you could still qualify. The rate is much cheaper. The mortgage insurance is less if you and you could put down much lower. And you know, there's a lot of, and there's no cap of income. I think that's the best one. There's another program where there is a cap of income. If they do not qualify by the address they live, they could qualify, they make about 135,000. They could still get a better rate. And if they have, and if they make 92,000, then the rate is much cheaper. So there's a lot of opportunities for first-time buyers. And then Fannie and Freddie will continue making progress for the first-time buyer because they want to influence people to buy. So if you have somebody that you want to qualify or just run through us, let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga. Good morning, everyone. Have we had a meeting since the NAR? Vincent, have you discussed this with,
Not the entire group.
okay, how many do we have on
But
today?
I've had a
11?
number of meetings, yeah, we've got 11, we've got some more people, I'm sure coming.
Okay, so I wanted to, obviously, the topic is, establishing a value proposition because that is most likely where our industry is going, right? And considering the fact that a huge percentage of realtors are buyer agents, you need to learn to have these conversations with both sellers and buyers. I've gone on several listing appointments since this NAR settlement, right? And it does not make sense for agents to pray and hope that a seller will not bring it up. This news is out there. The president himself had a speech on it, which was absolutely false. I don't know if you guys even saw it. Ridiculous, implying as if commissions were never negotiable when in fact they were. So my suggestion to everyone is not to pray and hope that this conversation doesn't come up, but you are the one who brings it up. Okay, when I revisited a listing appointment yesterday, I said to my sellers, I'm sure you've seen the news on the NAR settlement. Let's talk a little bit more about this, right? So that when you're the one bringing it up, it's not as if it's something taboo or something that shouldn't be talked about or something that you're trying to hide from them. Right? You guys agree?
Yes.
No.
Yes,
So
I agree.
Yeah, so I want this to be an open discussion because when you're bringing this up to the sellers or even buyers right now, you have to let them know that there's a lot of false news out there. And you need to give them information as to what is true and what is not true. So let's start by saying, one thing that the news mentioned, the settlement forces brokers to reduce their compensation. True or false?
False.
False. It does not force us to reduce our compensation. The settlement in no way establishes a standard or a limitation. There has never been a standard in our industry, right? Although some brokers like to say, well, standard 6%, you know, but there has never been a standard. There has never been a limitation. You can work for as high or as little as you negotiate. They have always been negotiable. Brokers have never been limited to the services that they can deliver, right? As well. Those fees has always been negotiable and it's always been a collective bargaining. Here's another statement that the news have put out there. The settlement will, for the first time, allow sellers to no longer pay compensation for agents bringing a buyer. False. Absolutely false. You just can't, yeah, right?
Or do you know what the cooperation required was before the proposed settlement?
$1.
It was $1, right? So it went down to, it could be 0 now.
Yeah.
Can you say the last thing that you said, the one that you said is false? I didn't get it.
The settlement will, for the first time, allow sellers to no longer pay compensation for an agent bringing the buyer. They never had to pay a buyer's agent. Right? They never had to. They could choose not to. But it wasn't something that we as realtors said that they were obligated to do. There was never an obligation for a seller to pay a buyer's agent compensation, yet it is a practice that worked well. 90% of transactions that closed nationwide was through COBRA. Right? And you guys should be using these stats or these facts when you're having these conversations with your customers and your clients. So I brought this up yesterday myself in front of the sellers. And they themselves said, yeah, we know, nothing's changed, this is, you know, it doesn't affect us, it doesn't affect you. And because they said that, I let it go, but I brought it up first.
How did you bring it up?
I said, I'm sure you've seen the news about the NAR settlement. We discussed this a few months back when we met the first time. And I told you that this was ongoing, and now there has been a settlement, and the court still has to approve it in July. So the only thing that would change is if I don't sell this co-op in July, then the commission gets removed from the MLS. And when we have an offer, I will let you know what the compensation will be for the buyer's agent. It could be more than what we had originally indicated. And then we could renegotiate based on that, or it could be less. But we won't know until an offer is given and they tell us the terms of their offer.
So how much is your commission gonna be now? Signing the listing.
It's at 5. I got them at 5%. Is that what you're asking? I got them at 5%.
So let's say my buyer agreement is 3%.
My last one was at 6%. No issues. We shouldn't be talking about this, but.
So let's say my buyer agreement contract is 3% and you're only giving out 2.5%. So then it'll be my responsibility as a buyer's agent to either negotiate the extra 0.5%.
No, you cannot collect more than what is indicated on your buyer rep agreement.
Right, so my buyer contract is 3%.
Oh, 3, okay, I think.
You're giving out 2.5%.
Yes,
So
you
that
need to negotiate.
0.5%, I would have to either negotiate or have the buyers.
Yes, so there's 3 ways, right? You negotiate it where the seller covers it, the buyer covers it, or you add it into the financing.
So technically, the same, she's gonna give the offer saying my 3% buyer's agent's commission.
Includes an extra 0.5%.
So it's always better.
Yes.
It's not, I mean, it's always better to put 3% on the agreement than versus putting 2 before, and then if she's over more, you cannot collect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, I had a question, the more co-broking is gonna be done, or still gonna be there?
depends on the agent, right? So if you have a buyer rep agreement, the broker, regardless if they are part of the MLS or not, cannot deny representation. They have to let you in. That's a co-broker.
But no longer commission paid. or-
You just cannot
It's not
indicate it.
guaranteed.
Yeah,
When they say.
you have to indicate the commission upfront with your buyer client moving forward. Okay, you know how we list properties? You are now listing people. Buyers. Okay, those are the standards.
So technically, the way they say that before the commission being advertised and buyer's agent been thinking, oh, she's like offering less, I'm not gonna show that house.
Mhm.
But they don't want to be visible, so you show the property
To everyone.
and the buyer, they want to see. And then if they, whatever they like it, you negotiate on that price, without knowing how much the compensation originally was.
Yeah,
And what do we say about the commission now, for the, when you go to listing presentation, for example, if
Just
I'm selling
fine.
6%, 5%, what?
yeah,
What-
so we negotiate that, right? It depends on what you want to, what you think your value is. I got, like I said to you, I was able to secure one that just went on at 6 and another one at 5, right? We negotiate, it's a negotiation, all commissions are negotiable,
But did they ask you like how much you gonna compensate the buyer's agent?
yes. And I always, even if they do not ask me, I tell them what I am compensating.
And then in the agreement, you have to put it, and then
Yes,
have
they
the
have
initial
initial
next to
on
it.
there.
No, you don't have.
Yes,
So-
no, for now you do.
So here's a question, right? You, let's say we sign a, 5 apples, right, as compensation, right? And we're giving away 2 apples, right? And then July comes.
Mhm.
How do you figure what is the listing side versus what is?
My listing side will remain the same.
So you still negotiate, what is your listing side?
You just said 3 apples. And you.
Not
are giving out 2
necessarily,
apples.
not necessarily,
Right.
right?
Now you can keep the file.
You sign an agreement for 5,
Uh-huh.
okay? July comes and somebody is negotiating. some-
Always through the front, my love.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Let's say they negotiate,
Yes,
let's say they negotiate 1.5,
Mhm.
what happens to the extra?
I'm keeping it. but my minimum is 3.
Right?
Yeah, my minimum is 3.
But if she put it on MLS before July, we will not be there anyways.
No.
Like,
If
No,
automatically- they will automatically remove it after
If the
July.
court approves it, if the court approves it,
Which they
mid-July,
will.
mid-July.
No, they-
Okay.
Oh, they will, I mean, even the president's talking about it, they're,
But
it's done.
No, if you listen, the non-resident, he
Well, now,
explained,
Mr.
He responded to Biden's video and said you were wrong.
no, he
Commissions have
responded, but
always been
basically,
negotiable.
he explained that there was no way. Not to settle, because if they not settle, the
Yeah.
agreement would be worth much more. I mean, he explained the reason why they didn't went that route.
It's force. Should we measure about the concession to when you have an agreement about concession, compensation, if we, how to interpret to the seller? So about the money we have to pay the other agent.
Just say
I
we
mean,
won't know what that is until the offer comes in and they disclose what the terms of their offer is. And that's when we know how we should counter or, reject or accept the offer.
Okay, and during the listing presentation, so when you come,
I told them what my full commission is.
say 5%, for example.
Yeah.
July came, what do we do with the 5%? Will July come?
I'm removing it, yeah. Yeah.
And then June, July.
This is after NAR, and this is after the NAR articles, guys, I'm still at the same amount. Okay, nothing has changed,
Second.
Standard 5%.
yeah.
So if, how do you respond then to a seller who says, well, if I'm not obligated to pay, my property is so amazing, let the buyer.
This existed regardless.
Yeah, because she just said like before they were not.
This was
obligated
always,
to pay.
that objection was always there, even prior to the NAR settlement. Right? So the objection would still be the same, if you are not compensating a buyer's agent, you are limiting the amount of eyeballs on your property. If we know that 90% of the property sell through co-broker and you're limiting the buyers that may not be able to pay out of pocket or may not be able to finance an additional X percentage, then you're limiting the demand and exposure to your property.
As a seller, I can tell you, excuse me, Lily, it's a law, right? For United States, the government say no more buyers compensation.
It didn't say this, it says it not advertise.
That's false.
It's
That's
different.
false. So here's the third one. The settlement prohibits sellers from paying a commission to a buyer's agent and relieves sellers of the financial burden. That's also false, right? The mandate restrict properties with an offer of buyer agent compensation for displaying on MLS. It doesn't prevent buyer compensation. It's just the display of compensation. That's it. That's the misinformation that the news outlets are putting out there because, the catchy headlines and the fear and all that is what sells news, right? So all this information that you're hearing out there, people have the wrong information and you as professionals haven't set them straight, okay? Sellers may still elect to pay buyer's agents compensation to differentiate their properties. While sellers can elect not to pay a buyer's agent's compensation, that doesn't mean they will avoid the economics as buyers may write into an offer a contingency requiring the seller to cover the costs or request other concessions. Okay? You guys want this? Yeah, it's Vincent. Here's another
Send it to
false.
us.
Let's have another false statement corrected. The settlement will serve to meaningfully lower prices and make home ownership affordable again.
Stupidity. Yeah.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, we're the bad guys, right? That have
Yeah.
inflated prices nationwide, and now all of a sudden, because of this ruling or whatever settlement, now homeownership is affordable. Values in real estate are determined by supply and demand. Fees in a real estate transaction represents additional expenses, yet these include not only commission, but many other related charges. Should real estate commission be reduced by 1% because of compression, that $500,000 home will now cost $495. Not only is the potential impact marginal at best, but do you think the seller now believes the home is worth less and will happily give the difference to the buyer? No, right?
Hell no.
The reason, the reason home ownership, hell no, is that Ed?
Yes.
The reason home ownership is increasingly less affordable is that homes in our market has significantly risen in value these last few years, not because of commission. It's simply because of supply and demand.
And it's not, I mean.
And
The
interest
monthly
rates,
is
yeah.
here.
So for them to try to pin down on realtors and our commission is insane. Here's another false statement. The settlement is a win for buyers who will now be able to negotiate the fee for representation. That is questionable, right? And this now brings me to our topic. What is our value proposition? What is gonna set you apart from a discount buyer agent who says, yes, I'll open the door for you and write up an offer for a flat fee of X amount, right? Because to them, we're all door openers and we are overpaid for just opening a door and showing them a property. So remember in the beginning of the year, before we knew any of this was happening, I asked you guys to create a buyer's guide.
Yes,
Did you guys do that?
yes.
No, Maria's like, nope, nope, nope. What are you gonna show your buyers at a buyer consultation when you're trying to sign a buyer rep agreement?
I'm gonna make the guy.
Now you're gonna make the guide. But you should have been using
Your
it
Zillow,
before.
reviews.
Yeah, other people have Zillows and reviews too. Right? And everyone, there's gonna be someone with
Designation.
more
The designation.
designations, so let's talk about that, right? Let's go into that. So let's answer that question first, right? It's a win for the buyer who will now be. The readers who have purchased homes, right? The people who have purchased homes, it's more than likely you're happy to have sellers compensate your agent, so you don't have to. For buyers who had to provide the down payment and closing expense, having the commission paid by the seller and incorporated into home price allowed them to finance the amount over time instead of coming up with additional cash at closing. But if you finance it, how much does it actually become, right? Towards the end, it actually might be even more. But compensation for buyer's agent obviously is negotiable, and we had that conversation with Michelle where you cannot collect more, but you could collect less, right, in your buyer rep agreement. So it is to your advantage to put a higher amount, but letting your buyers know that you're willing to make it work if need be, right? Yes? Okay.
So kind of like our sellers overpricing.
Hmm?
Kind of like our sellers overpricing.
No, this is compensation, it's different. Okay, here's another false statement. The settlement will result in significant restitution to consumers who were harmed over recent years in their transaction by realtors.
False.
False. The settlement is huge, right, guys? And if everyone was to come after us, what does everyone get? Like $10?
$1, just like the buyer's agent commissions on the MLS.
Those benefiting are really who? Lawyers. Scumbag attorneys who have submitted a request to the courts for over 80 million in fees. Okay? This is why we believe buyer agents will remain. Do you guys see value in buyer agents? Yes. The good ones? 100%. 100%. Right? But you have to have a value proposition and a reason to believe that you actually bring value to the buyer and you're not just a door opener. Okay? Because a buyer rep is trained to view and analyze a home, identifying things that everyday consumer may not take into consideration, potentially saving thousands of dollars. A buyer rep has comps at their fingertip and is more knowledgeable about the present market who will save thousands of dollars. A good buyer's rep knows selling agents and their reputation. Isn't that true? Right, you know who are the slimy ones and who are the good ones and who are the like truthful ones and the ethical ones. Because of past deals and can lend a more careful, watchful eye protecting the client. Buyer reps are skilled in negotiations, experienced in multiple offers, working with inspectors, contractors. When I look at contracts, I also like to check if an attorney is accurate with what they're putting in there, right? Because a lot of times we are writing things into the term sheet that they do not see or they do not incorporate into the contract, and it ends up affecting the sale. Just as an example, there was language in the rider of a contract that a seller's attorney overlooked because the buyer's attorney said that in a co-op that the owner would remove any asbestos material in the unit. And there was asbestos tiles all over the apartment. Yeah. So these little things could end up costing thousands of dollars if you don't have a trained realtor kind of second check, like checking over.
How did they find out about those laws?
They had an inspection done.
Is that problem?
Yeah, they had an inspection done. So guys, you have to be careful because a lot of times they just slap on these like riders, right? And you have to be also, now that we're moving into this phase of the industry, you have to be great at storytelling, right? If you're great at storytelling, instead of explaining to them, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, tell them a story of an actual situation that has happened. It captures their attention more, right? And they also see the value of like, holy shit, I don't ever want that to happen. Or I want extra eyes on it because you know what to look out for and what to ask a seller or a buyer to remove from their riders or contracts. I met with another seller yesterday where they wanted the funds from their property. They didn't need it, but they just didn't want a jumbo loan, right? So speaking with lenders or speaking with other, like, knowing about the different programs, I suggested either a bridge loan, which some lenders have, or recasting the loan after their property sells. But if you don't have this type of information or this ammo, you are not showing your value proposition, guys. All this training that Vincent and I are doing for you is for you to build your value proposition. If you come into a training and lenders are telling you about their different programs, about, you know, bridge loans, recap loan, or doing certain things, you never know when that opportunity of using that training is gonna come into play, that's gonna set you apart.
They also did first loan and second loan, so as soon as they close, they could pay off the second loan. Without closing the loan, they always have the opportunity to use the money.
What's that called? It's
It's
not like a
home
bridge
equity.
loan,
No,
home equity.
home equity.
So, I mean, maybe another training on different programs and what you could put out there for the buyers and sellers, because when sellers sell a property, they need to buy something else, right? So that in itself, you know, set me apart from the other agents that are just coming in there saying, you know, here are the comps, this is what your home is worth, this is, you know, I found out what their goal is, where they're gonna go, do they need the funds from this house to buy the next house? Do they have the funds already available? What's more important to them, not losing that house or getting this sold first, you know, and you gotta be a problem solver, right? And that is the value proposition that you need, instead of just saying, I will open the door for you for $500, you know, and be a flat fee agent. Are there gonna be buyers that do that? Absolutely, but that might, you don't want those, right? You choose and pick now who your clients are gonna be. Alright,
That's what.
okay. Okay, what are some, so who went to the training last week with Vincent and a bunch of, like, I know Hamlet was there, Michelle was there.
The club one?
Yeah, Clubwell.
Yeah, we're-
So he kind of tapped into, for those of you who weren't there, he tapped into the NAR settlement a little bit and buyer reps. And he also broke down a menu. You guys remember that? Michelle?
Yes, the menu for the buyers, is what you get for X amount for the first tier, what you get for the second tier, and what you get for like the platinum tier.
What do you guys think of that?
it's good.
You like it?
I thought it was interesting,
Is
right?
it something you want to incorporate?
I don't know.
So
It's unique, it's different.
So what I wanna do today is let's talk basic tier. Let's talk. What is that? Standard and then premium, but I basic, standard, premium, right? Let's talk about what value proposition would go under basic. Right? What would go under standard? And what would go under premium? And he had you write out, what is the lowest commission you would agree on signing a buyer rep for under basic, like doing the bare minimum of a basic agent? What you would do for standard, so let's say the standard payout is 2% in our MLS, like hypothetically, right? And then what would you do for the absolute most, like 3.5%, 4%, whatever, I know you wrote 4% or whatever.
But my question is, what's the difference now when you're working as a buyer client or a buyer customer? You have that menu of what you can do. what
You're
you
not
cannot do.
supposed to analyze for that buyer customer.
But if
You
you're
work
going
for the
for
seller.
basic agent, that's gonna be something that I'm not gonna be
Yeah, but
providing.
buyer customers won't exist anymore. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be what my menu is,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
that you're not getting value.
Buyer customers, you could send them comps, you're just not gonna analyze it. You analyze that shit yourself. Right?
That's your thing.
But what is our value proposition as realtors? Don't we know which buildings are better than others in the area?
Yes,
Don't we know which buildings have financial stability and which ones don't? Don't we know when a building has insane flip tax and some that don't, right? If it's a better investment than others. And don't we know, like, sometimes when a buyer buys into a certain building, because of how insanely strict it is, getting out is like horrible. Right? So these are facts or information we know because we have our pulse on the market. We have our pulse on what's going on in the neighborhood. One of our team members has insider info from board members. She's part of a group. And they discuss new laws that are coming up and things that will increase maintenance in the next few months. Would that be useful information? Yeah, right?
not for a basic menu.
Not for a basic menu, right? So that's what's gonna set you apart from the other agents. So let's talk basic, guys. What is basic?
I open the door for you, you send me all the properties you want to see, and I'll make the appointments. That's
Listing,
it, super basic.
send listings.
Let's list it, right? Well, are you gonna, well, let's talk steps first, right? During your buyer consultation, you're gonna prepare the buyer's guide. You're gonna do a presentation for them. You're gonna meet them. You're gonna discuss their goals, their needs, their wants, right? You're gonna go through all that regardless first, guys, right? Because you wanna know if they're really motivated or not motivated.
Right.
And then you could determine if you really wanna work with them or not work with them. Because if they have outrageous, like, beliefs with low motivation, like, do you wanna take them? You could decide. If you have nothing else to do, I'd say take them.
Sometimes.
Yeah, right?
Change.
Yeah, they change. What are the other things? Are you gonna help them find a mortgage broker?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would help them find a preferred mortgage vendor that
Write it
could
down.
actually save
That's basic,
$10,000 to $30,000,
yeah,
right, on the mortgage.
that's what they
And
said,
that's gonna be on each of them.
yeah, that's basic, guys. Discuss different types of financing options. Get a pre-approval letter from their lender. You're still gonna explain what you do as a realtor, aren't you? But you're gonna let them know that they have a choice to determine how extensive you dig and how much time you spend investigating on the type of properties that they are really interested in. Right, and that's what's gonna set the menu apart. You're gonna provide an overview of the market conditions. The Feds announced last week what? The rates are gonna drop, maybe 3 more times.
Right away stabilize,
Maybe the next drop might be in what, June?
June, July.
Keeping current matters is a good tool. What is your team's value? What is your team's or company's value? Club Wealth, that gentleman also touched up on being part of a team if you're new, right?
Yes,
So that you could write off of their value and their statistics and their accolades and their production stats and things like that.
I think that's key. People see you working as a team, especially social media you post where you are trainings. like
And
this
that is what I say to a lot of my clients too. When I'm with you, right, my phone is not, I'm not holding my phone. You guys know when I'm on my presentations, it's turned in my pocket or covered. I'm not holding it because remember I had training with this. You're holding your phone, they're not important, right? But like, I tell my clients that I don't have my phone on me right now, but my clients know that if there's a request for a showing and I'm not able to do it, we'll have someone on the team accommodate. Right? So that your leads are not wasted or discarded or not responded to. Having a team, I think, is pretty important. Or just having, let's say you don't want to join a team, but at least having like a partner, right? Like Simon could help you, you could help Simon as well. And Ed and, what's her name? Priscilla, I knew it was a P. Priscilla, you know, you guys could help each other too, have each other's back, right? A lot of people, believe it or not, also explaining earnest money deposit, a lot of sellers don't know the process, they don't know the procedures, and this is why a seller's guide and a buyer's guide is important. So when I'm meeting, if I was to sign up a buyer, I would go over all of the steps of when we find a buyer, how to submit an offer, how to prepare. Do you guys prepare documents or tell the buyers that these are the documents that we're gonna need so that when you see a property that you love, you're not wasting a day or two trying to locate your tax returns and pull your credit and your bank statements and your, all of that stuff. Right? Because that one day or that few hours could make the difference whether or not you get your property accepted or not accepted.
especially now.
Especially now, especially now. Home inspection process. There are inspectors, have, those of you who have not been through a home inspection, I recommend you reach out to an experienced agent and let them know, like, hey, next time you have a home inspection, can I tag along? I promise I'll be quiet. You know, and just be present and be able to go through a home inspection. Or even, if you have relations with an inspector, see if, you know, you could tag along and.
I'm holding one special today at 5:30 just in case.
You have one at 5:30? Oh, if anyone wants to go with him.
You have a what, home inspection?
Yeah.
Nice, where?
Two family housing to make.
Very good.
Yeah, so you guys could see what they look at, what they explain, just so that you've gone through one to see what is pointed out. That has helped me so much because when I'm going through a house with a buyer, I'm like, oh, look at that, that's a sign of termite. Or, you know, oh, those are asbestos insulate, like, you know, things like that. If you guys go through an inspection, you'll know how to convey the same things to a home buyer. right? It's a learning experience. And that is what's gonna also set you apart, because you're pointing out things that maybe a seller is trying to conceal or not show you, right? All right. Foreclosures and short sales, you guys could disclose, it's not common in our area, but it is, if it is common in the neighborhoods that you're servicing, you really need to get trained on that too. Are you showing buyers only properties that they request?
No.
Does that go under basic or standard?
Basic.
No.
Which they request?
That they don't.
I think that's a gray area, right? So you guys could decide, you know, if you pick the basic package, then you have to send me properties and I'll show it to you. But if you want the standard package, I'll dig deeper to see what's off market, what's,
What's the big deal? I just look on Zillow.
yeah, but they don't know that. So
They
you're trying
do know
to get a
that.
higher, you're trying to get a higher
Exhibit
commission.
1.
So look it up in Zillow then, Michelle.
My listings on Zillow. You didn't help me find it. I found it myself on Zillow.
That's what Luca said. But what's the
Got
next, what's the next level up of premium, guys?
Off market.
Off market, calling. Prospecting for your buyers,
Our CRMs have all properties.
yeah,
Right, so to get them on our listing alert, they're able to see properties that are not on the market yet. And that's a huge advantage.
yeah. Maybe you should show them how to get to it.
No, it's not everybody uses the same.
What do you mean?
Uh,
Cindy put on 2 of mine, I think.
does KB Core show coming soon?
Yeah,
Yeah,
open houses coming soon.
good.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
so we all have that, right? So we all have the ability to let our people know of properties that are coming to the market that nobody knows about yet.
Yeah. So what I would say is premium, guys, and what I would put under premium if I'm working buyers as a buyer agent is the ability to actually be proactive for you. Right, so if, let's say I have a family that's looking for a townhouse here that's renovated. And this is what I did years ago before I started working with just sellers, that I would look up rental properties, and I was telling Michelle this too. I would look up rental properties that were near like end of their terms or just rented out. I would call those owners. If they didn't pick up, I would mail a letter, because sometimes on public record, it'll show a different address than the actual address of the rental property. Just to let them know, I have a great family. They specifically chose this area because they want their child zoned for PS 144. And due to the lack of inventory, I decided to reach out. Have you considered selling after your lease with your tenant is up? Right? So being able to proactively list a property when you have a buyer client in hand is an amazing way to prospect. Okay? Calling the expireds using the same dialogue can also help. And I used to not just call the expireds that just expired. I would go back like months and see if they've relisted, if, you know, if I was to bring them a buyer willing to pay their price, would they consider selling today? It's very simple dialogues. I've actually done like, you know, role playing with my team and they're like, oh, that's it. And you're just getting your foot in the door. Okay, how many of you guys want to do some more role playing? Yeah. I think that's what this industry is headed towards, right? I love this settlement, by the way. I don't know if you guys are aware. I've told my team this too. It's gonna set the experienced, professional, savvy realtors apart from the rest. And I want you guys to be the experienced, professional, savvy, well-trained ones. Mm-hmm.
In the buyers.
Hey, sorry guys, I just had a quick thing I wanted to mention. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but if you go on the MLS, if I'm not mistaken, for members of the MLS, they're actually offering a free ABR training course in lieu of the this
Wow.
thing that's going on. So I don't know if you guys know.
Can you put it on like our workplace or send it out to
Yeah,
our
let me,
workplace?
that's fine. Let me jump on the computer. I'll put it on the workplace. That way you guys can all see it. With that, I think they're offering a discount for the seller's certified agent course as well. So with the two, you'll get your credited hours. At least one of the courses is free.
SRS is
And
seller, is residential specialist, seller residential specialist.
got it.
We're SR, I'm an S, we're SRS, right?
Yeah. Designation is what's
I
gonna.
think that might just help you guys out a little more in the whole issue with this NAR thing, just to get.
Yeah. So
Are you like paying for extensions for your designations?
I did not pay for the ABR.
What about-
ABR is the only one that I know you have. to pay.
SRS, you actually have to pay. for.
You do?
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
I paid once and then I stopped paying, but I still use it.
No, I know.
Catch me if you can.
No, I'm saying if the buyer is searching on realtor.com, you know, they have ability to put it and search by designation.
Yeah.
So your designation that you're not paying, it's not gonna show up. I'm just giving you that.
Yeah, no problem.
So
So
I,
technically, you cannot advertise I'm an AVR if you don't really pay for the membership.
she gonna be ratting you out.
No, I'm not paying either. Just
Okay.
kidding.
So, what did I wanna say? Oh, title and lien issues. I want you guys to be able to mention as well. That is another premium that you guys need to add on. Do you know there's title companies that will run prelim title reports?
No, I don't.
Yes. Add that to your premium, guys. Make relations with attorneys, title companies that will run preliminary title reports to see what comes up. So you know, if, let's say, a buyer's attorney slapping on a provision that says we want C of O for everything, right? And then I have attorneys crossing it out and saying, no, the only CO you're gonna get is that it's a one family, or the only CO you're gonna get is that it's a two family. We're not COing the deck, we're not COing this, we're not COing this. So if you run a prelim report, just see what comes up. I had a agent call me, last week, no, just a few days ago, out of state. I think she does more luxury real estate, and her partner's parents or someone passed away and they want an agent that she wants to refer. And one of the immediate things I said, you know, you have a sidewalk lien from like 212. She's like, I do. So I sent her the links immediately to show her how to get it removed, right? Before even taking the listing, because that's a value that she sees, that I'm gonna try to resolve every freaking issue so that there's no hurdles when we get you to closing table, right? So you guys have to understand, like, it's like a give, and then they'll give you what you want, right? So I would put that under prelim, guys. Do you know any title companies that will run it for free? National, Liberty National used to do it. You think, what's her name? Patricia?
Yeah, any of them do it if you
Yeah.
call them and ask nice.
Yeah. And see if Arun, if those of you who deal with Arun a lot, he has a title company. Sue Lai has a title company in her building that she has helped me with a few times as well. So, you know, establish those relationships so that lawyers know that when you refer them business, they could also repay you with favors as well. Okay? Good?
Yeah.
So these prelim title reports will show if there's like, you know, liens or even judgments on the sellers and, you know, things like that. Okay? Stop title problems, receive, review closing documents. Confirm repairs have been made. That could be a prelim, a premium, right?
That's standard,
Kind of standard,
standard.
but to what extent would you go for premium? Have you gone above and beyond before?
They-
How about
Present your offer in person.
how about being a good storyteller and telling them how you've gone above and beyond before? Give me an example of when you went above and beyond.
Present your offer in person to the seller.
Well, that's also a premium, but let's talk about repairs. How have you gone above and beyond your duties to get to the closing table?
Introducing vendors, going there if the buyer client is not available. Sometimes depending on like the price point, paying for those repairs.
You want to pay for those repairs?
If it's small,
She's done it before.
if it's big or break the deal,
Mhm.
I'm gonna pay $10 to buy a doorknob.
Oh, I know.
It depends on the
I
price
bought
point.
smoke detector, carbon monoxide
Yeah.
detectors before. I've purchased like minimal stuff
If
because
the seller
they've been
didn't
out of
clean,
state.
I have my vendor who's a cleaning person, like he'll give me a discount and I'll clean the property. If I know that that's what's like gonna make or break. But that's really going above my clients that like, it's the price value and the worth is there. Cause I've done that for one of my clients and I've got 3 referrals from them already.
Guys, everything we're talking about, right, is amazing, right? But a lot of society is visual. And that's why I've asked you guys to create a buyer's guide. So make sure everything that we're talking about, like you have something visual to show them. And then turn that visual into a story so that they fully understand the value that you are actually giving them.
Usually I do, when I do the presentation, I talk about these things, what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
And when it comes to that point of inspection, they tell them this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah,
We-
amazing,
we
right?
make it happen and then client is happy because we already told them what's
Mhm.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that the quality you're talking about, keep referring because you did,
I think referring vendors could be not basic, but standard. And then premium is going that like extra step of covering expenses up to a certain amount. If need be to get to the closing table.
And I've also like after they close, if I referred a contractor, I come and not supervise, but I do like a final walkthrough with them to ensure that the contractor did what they were supposed to do. And there are many times where I found this wasn't right, that wasn't right, so the relationship doesn't end when the deal ends. So this way they're like, wow, she really came out so many months after and taking the time to help me work with my contractor. So I've done that as well.
Do you explain that during every single meeting or it's whenever?
It depends on the relationship I have with the buyer.
Let's make it stand like a,
Yeah, now, what you said in the buyer guide that you created, adding the benefit, it's very nice. You know, buyers love to hear that, you're gonna provide a landscaper, you're gonna provide. a
yeah,
plumber,
vendors.
Or a guy which know the defense, you know,
Mhm.
things like that, they love to know because they
Mhm.
don't know,
They don't,
now they know.
yeah.
You know, so they love
They
that.
are always asking
Yes.
for vendors in the neighborhood.
Construction guy, you know, it's.
So clean out is very important too, guys. I have a good clean out company, I have a good estate, tag sale person. I use the same cleaning person as Michelle. They all actually clean my house too, every 2 weeks, like we've established good he's actually doing, carpet cleaning for one of my co-ops. Cause we couldn't sell the property, so I have a contractor who did renovations on the kitchen and the bathroom. He offered to give me a percent, like, you know, kickback, and like, no, just take it off the price. Like, just give my clients a better price, right? So establishing that relationship, I think it's so important, and being able to give clients, oh, here, come. Sorry. Sorry. You listen, she has to take photos, she. Okay, see you later. Sorry. Thank you. So being able to have and like, if sellers see that you are gonna make their life easy, right? You are absolutely worth that premium. Right? There's reasons why people shop at higher end places or go to better places for the service, right? So you determine what level of service you want to provide. I think that's pretty much attend closing. I don't always attend closing. It's bad.
What do you do though? Like, so like, oh, you're not going to attorney closing? As you know, since COVID, attorneys really don't want the agents there. We're really there for cheerleaders, unless there's like a really big problem that we need to be involved in. That's what
I say that a lot of times. You know, what I usually say to them is like, we've got it to this point and now it's time for the attorneys to just dot the i's and cross the t's.
Oh, I like that.
Everything has been resolved, even the final walkthrough, any issues that came up. So for realtors to show up, we're just taking up space. And I'm always reachable, I'm a phone call away, so just
I
let
love
me
to take
know.
a picture and put some
I-
social media.
Which is good too, to be honest with you, there's mixed feelings about that, but to be honest with you, I have better things to do with my.
I go towards the end, like
Uh-huh.
they're giving me my check and exchange, bye. That's it, I don't go the whole way.
Can I give you my point?
Yeah.
In this,
Uh-huh.
in the day of the closing for me is the most important day for the client.
Then that's when you take the photo.
No, I take champagne, I take
Oh,
Yeah,
gifts, I make party there with them. Take pictures of social media,
But at the end,
at the end of the closing, yeah.
why not in front of the
Yeah,
property?
that's what I wanna start doing now.
So-
In front of the property, I wanna get like
A
a
boring, like, attorney's closing table with
I
like.
know, I wanna do it in the property.
No,
I did one in the property and it was amazing the last time.
but we do, you know, I brought the last closing I went to, I brought them really nice champagne, you know, and you guys choose and pick. I used to give the knives.
Yeah, but listen,
And that
I'm
was
sharing at the table.
Especially, yeah.
No, just go bring those cups that you could make, right? Nice champagne flutes. Pop it at the table with the attorneys, with the other agent and have a little
It's
party.
a holiday, like it's a party.
I invite myself to their place after they move in.
You invite yourself?
I wanna see how they decorate it, and I take a picture and I bring my gift. Like that.
I bring the gifts at the day of the closing, and I bring champagne for the other listing agent.
You should
I
be,
read
it might say,
champagne for-
right now, or we're driving.
You could bring up one bottle of champagne and one sparkling apple cider. Okay, I want you guys to go into workplace. And I want you to look up buyer toolkit, buyer representation toolkit. It's something that EXP just put together 2 days ago. There's social media shareables, there's what sellers and buyers should know. There's a YouTube playlist for buyer representation recordings. Including Leo Pereira's and Holly Mabry's call, unpacking the settlement. So they've actually done quite a bit, plus there's buyer representation training in EXP University for all of you guys. All right, so that toolkit, they just put it out 3 days ago, it's powerful and it's one of the few things that they're going to be adding.
What's the name of the group? Buyers?
They just put it in EXP Realty announcements.
By the presentation.
Yeah, so take a look at buyer representation toolkit or buyer toolkit. And you'll see the buyer representation, it talks about a number of things. It's got training videos, it gives you access to a mastermind library. And it allows you to promote on social media. So there's content that says, you've got questions, I've got answers, let's chat, get into contact today. So on and so forth, right? So take it, use it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff here, so yesterday.
Fact versus fiction, NAR settlement. Let's talk about what's really going on. Contact me today. All right, so let's use it.
Let's talk about other value propositions I want you guys to think about, right? Basic, standard, premium, we talked about. But what else can you add as premium? And I'm gonna give you some from my team, right? We have a transaction coordinator. Does everyone pretty much offer professional photos? But does everyone offer Matterport tour?
Yes, together.
Not all.
Well, hold on,
No,
we're
wait.
talking for buyers.
Yeah, we're talking buyers, but I'm just saying, let's say listing appointments for now too. But for buyers, our Matterport, well, you could also For buyers, I mentioned to them that I have in this area. So you guys know my niche is here, right? And a lot of it is co-ops. But a lot of people don't know that there's an archive of floor plans that many people do not have access to, right? And that's what's gonna set you apart. Another thing that a lot of people don't know is that the Attorney General's office has this Freedom of Information site where you can get offering plans and amendments for free. It takes a while, but you could get it for free. And when I'm going on listing appointments, I could actually save my sellers money. Right? Well, I'm talking premium now for seller and buyer, by the way. This is what's awesome.
What's that website you saying?
Just Google Attorney General's office or Attorney General and then type in FOIL or offering plan request.
Yeah, I think whenever you make requests with them, it could take about 4 to 8 weeks typically.
So you could submit it first, right? When you're about to go on a listing appointment and just say, I've already requested for a PDF so that if you don't find your book, hopefully we could avoid you spending $300 to $400 purchasing one from management.
So again, which website is this?
Freedom of information, what does the LL stand for? Legislation. FOIL, offering plan request FOIL, FOIL. I'd be giving you guys free stuff. Columbia Floor Plans is where we get floor plans.
What do you mean?
Columbia University floor plans.
Google Columbia University floor plans, right? They have a collection.
Understood.
This is for our team only, guys. Don't be sharing it with those competitors.
Excuse me, is that for residential homes also?
No, that is for mostly co-ops and condos. I was able to save my clients money for. Okay, so what else sets you apart, guys, from others? What is your value proposition? I have seen Michelle's emails to buyer clients where she goes really, really deep into explaining why her comps are these properties and why this property sold at this price, why this property sold at this price, you know, and why she thinks the property is priced well or not priced well, or, you know.
And I'm usually on target.
Yeah.
With my pricing.
Yeah. So the more you do it, the more accurate you become. But that, and I think, Michelle, you should like white out names or whatever and use them as samples in your buyer guide and show them that when you sign up as a premium with me, this is how deep I will dig to let you know that you are paying the right price for this property that you love, and we are not overpaying. And I will go further into, you know, finding out more about the co-op and whether or not the information that the seller put on the MLS is in fact, seller's agent put on the MLS is in fact accurate.
It's a buyer agent, for example.
As a buyer.
Buyer account. So how we, when you sign a contract with the buyers, right?
Mhm.
And so what do you have to talk about the compensation, once again?
What
How
you
much
do-
do, how much do you charge, yes?
This is what we're doing, basic, standard, premium, have them choose.
How much you-
So
You
the
can do it that
guy at Club Wealth, right, his goal wasn't really to have them choose.
Yeah.
His goal for the menu was so that you could funnel them into what
Stand-
you want, which is your standard.
Mhm.
So the idea is like, this is the
I
minimum,
want to funnel them to premium.
right? This is the minimum you deserve. But then premium, it's like, hey, you're gonna go door knocking now for these guys.
Which is amazing, get listings, come on.
It should be premium, only premium.
Premium only.
Only
Okay.
days to do it. Wherever.
Yeah, well, it's like accountability now for you to go and get listings.
Yeah.
Why are we gonna offer basic?
It's not basic, this, your guidance.
But you're also gonna get basic clients, which is okay, right?
Your premium is 4%, and you're like, well, yeah, I'm not gonna pay 4%.
I would suggest maybe take longer time and more, I mean, you
Yeah.
spend more your time without.
I wouldn't discard a basic client, guys. I would still take a basic client and maybe you guys work a relation with a showing agent in our office. You new agents, I think you new agents should try to find an experienced agent and volunteer to be a showing agent for them. That's how you also learn. And you get paid a little, of course. Right? I think this is where the industry is going. Either you're gonna be a strong buyer agent, or you're gonna be a showing agent for a strong buyer agent.
Hey guys, everybody raise your hand if you have a Centric card lockbox.
I use.
Oh,
It's
An account, a paid account.
A paid account.
Raise your hand, guys, online.
It's so.
Raise your hand on Zoom if you have it.
Look, Ed has a little hand thing.
Lily's never seen that before.
You've never seen that before. I just got it.
Alright, listen, Lily, give them your thoughts on that.
I think that if you are so cheap to not pay $130 or whatever dollars per year. To be able to access my listings that's clearly paying over industry standard. You're missing out, right? Would you go to a doctor that won't pay $100 for a stethoscope?
Okay, I didn't have it because honestly, I didn't use it before and it got deactivated automatically, right? Apparently it happened automatically, I didn't know. And now that I'm going to Yonkers and the Bronx, everything is on Sentry on the account, so then I got it. I
Yeah, my
was
experience-
unaware because
I signed up the
use
first
it.
year,
Mhm.
I never use it, in the island, most of the properties don't use it. Only Westchester, I think, is using a lot up there. Up there, in the island, very
They
little.
use it too.
Not-
You know why I love it, guys?
Honestly, there's quite a few out there.
I do use it.
Yeah, there's quite
Yeah,
a few
I thought
everywhere.
it was
that-
100, but
No,
I
no,
wanted something on a year is.
Here's the thing, you could actually narrow down a search. So take a look on the MLS, all the properties that you have access to via Centricard. Okay, so think about that. You could narrow down all of the properties that you could see right away. And you could actually preview these properties.
So you mean, go there by yourself?
You could go there right now. You
Okay.
could go there, you could preview it, you could take videos, you could do whatever you want. But what's more important is if a buyer calls you. And instead of saying, let me check if I could set up an appointment for you Tuesday at 5. You'd be like, what are you doing in the next 20 minutes? I got 3 places that I could bring you into right now,
Oh, you can use them right away.
right? Does that make you different than the other agents?
That makes sense.
Right? So every neighborhood has listings that you could show via Centricard app.
You do not need to do an appointment for that?
Yes, you do.
You
Quick
should.
call, yeah, that's a quick call, but if there's an app there, or if they have the lockbox there.
More
likely-
readily to be
Yeah.
shown than ones that are not.
I usually do with the lot cost. Those
Like
are-
in Long Island, I was in Long Island to showing and I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry, it's last minute, but you know, I see this walk box, can I show it now? And they're like, yeah, just, it's actually, because it's right there. In Queens, it's a little bit harder, but if you're out on the island, it's much easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's easy.
I also love it because, you know, our office is not open 7 days a week, right? And we're also not open past 6 o'clock. So as the weather gets better and there are people showing after work hours, we have the ability to have people show more than one person to show, hold it overnight and return. They can put it back and another agent can use it. Yeah, it's so freaking easy. Even freaking Yael and Martin, whatever, what's his name?
Now.
Yael used, yeah, she used it. Oh my God,
And what about her, like why?
was that really bad agent?
So what about Jay?
Mohammed El Garani used it. Oh my goodness, he's like 8 years old. And
Okay.
Basically, the point that the older generation is able to do it, so us younger generation shouldn't have any issues
I
using simple programs.
yeah.
Stop throwing names.
I'm saying.
It's recorded.
Don't be recording
It's
me.
going to be.
Where do you sign up to learn about that?
YouTube.
Guys, you go to your MLS and go to the resource section of the MLS. And
Oh, yeah, resources, I did it, resources and then Century Lab, and then you just pay, right now it's like 62 something, because it's prorated, and then next year it's gonna be like 100.
Everything that I've explained to you guys today, please don't just tell them. I want you to include it in your buyer's guide. And when the slide comes up, you not only tell them, you show them and give them a story.
I'm excited about this, I need to push, it's gonna push me to go more, so
To be
I really
premium,
need
to
to
be premium.
be premium.
No.
Let's be premium then.
Lily, I have a question for you.
Yeah,
I know we're talking about lockbox and the Century Key and whatnot. Let's just say hypothetically speaking, you have a vacant co-op apartment for sale, but the building doesn't allow you to put lockboxes on their property. Now, it makes sense if your office was close by, but let's just say hypothetically speaking, this is in another town. That'll probably take 20 to 30 minutes to get to the office, get the key, and then head out to the appointment.
establish
Would
a
you,
relationship with a nearby brokerage and leave a key there.
And what you're doing is great.
I still put on the
Right.
property.
yeah, Olga puts it on the property on the door of the co-op.
See,
Not on the
see
door,
if you
on the
could,
fence or
give
somewhere.
the super a little something,
Somewhere I
something.
have picture.
See if you could.
yeah,
give
no,
it-
I've actually put it on the physical door of the apartment, but the thing is they got to get to the lobby, and then most of the time I get agents that are like, whatever, I'll figure it out. But then there's also the one or twosies that are just like, oh, I can't get in. I've been standing here for 30 minutes. So I was just curious to know what you doing.
And you could put it on the fence in the back, on the side, by the basement, on the side, on the fence, like I've seen it on the floor, on the fence, like you get real creative in where you hide it.
But
Just,
it's not
just
the
always have a
physical,
copy
it's an
for
individual.
yourself, just in case
Yeah.
that. I mean, during that whole time, only once my lockbox was removed. But I always have a copy of the keys just in case.
Yeah, because they strictly said they didn't want anything on the premises. Like they don't want any lock boxes on the gate, fences, none of that stuff. So I don't want to cause any issues. But I was just curious to see what other options you would look for.
But also like I have agents that I've worked with that's like from Astoria or Long Island, and like I'm friendly with
Yeah.
them. So I hold keys for them and I put them like in a lockbox where it'll be easier for them so they don't have to come in. And when you build those relationships with the agents, then when it's time for them to refer, they don't wanna come, I've got referrals that way also.
Beautiful. Appreciate it, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, everybody.
So that's what we do.
Okay. Any questions, guys? Think of what else is your value proposition based on your niche and your neighborhood. Your knowledge of the schools, your knowledge of the neighborhood, your knowledge of the politics in the neighborhood, anything, right? What is your value proposition that you can share? You know, maybe you have kids in the school district there, or you have knowledge, insider knowledge on other stuff. What is your value proposition? And what will set you apart besides just discounting your buyer rep commission? Okay, and then create your basic, your standard, and your premium.
I still think the presentation for the offer in person.
Yeah, for being able to present in person, if they don't have a no presentation in person dot sign, will also set you apart. So you could say that, you know, as your buyer agent, I will push to make sure that your offer is presented in the best light possible in person with the seller, if I'm able to do so.
I had a situation when the agent was saying that we already have accepted contract out. And then they offer in person and they choose us instead of us.
All right, guys. Work on your presentation. Let me know if you have any questions. Our next training next week, I want Michelle and I to go over again. Why don't you guys prepare your menu, right? Prepare your buyer's guide. Next Tuesday, I want to walk us through a buyer rep presentation and signing a buyer rep agreement.
Yes, very good. Lily. That makes
Okay.
sense. So we're talking about.
And we're
April
setting
6th.
ourselves up for the thing that's coming up in July, but you guys could start working on it now, start signing buyers up now. All right, I gotta run to an appointment.
Get it done.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, everybody.
Hold on.